Greetings everyone, welcome to the Hub on CGTN and welcome to Hungary, welcome to Budapest. Now, the Chinese President Xi Jinping's official visit to Hungary is really expected to be a shot in the arm to not just bilateral relations, but businesses on both sides. Our guests today are three entrepreneurs. They may come from different sectors and industries, but they do have one thing in common, benefiting from their strong bonds with China. President Erno, thank you for your time.
Welcome.
How are you?
Thanks.
Erno Peto is the president of the Hungarian-Chinese Chamber of Economy. For decades, he's dedicated to improving the commercial relations of the two countries. Hungary has its outsized impact on the world. Its literature, its music, and now, of course, its commercial ties with China. Can you tell us a bit about the companies that you're representing, especially those that are interacting, that are benefiting from their cooperation with their Chinese counterparts?
The trade relations are growing continuously between China and Hungary. And last year it reached the 14.5 billion US dollar. But most important is that Hungary is an EU member state. The potential of Hungary is not the production power, because we are quite small. But we can provide to the Chinese economy and to the Chinese enterprises a very special service, a platform. If they come here, they are in the EU, closer to the second or third biggest market in the world. And if they establish a factory or a plant or a company here in Hungary, the product what is produced or will be produced by these companies are EU product, made in EU, made in Hungary. So that's a benefit for both countries, and we have to use together and we have to cooperate to use this possibility.
When you think about the fact that we're cooperating on many fronts, infrastructure, high-speed trains, logistics related to China, Europe, railway express. In your portfolio, what is the most promising sector right now that you think Chinese and Hungarian businesses can both benefit from?
All over in the world now is the number one industry is the electric vehicles. And everybody is talking about this industry. In this respect, Hungary is also in a very special situation. Quite a lot, mostly German car manufacturers are working here in Hungary. Mercedes, Audi, and now BMW started a new plant in Debrecen. And this new plant, it was decided to produce only electric vehicles. And in their neighborhood, there is one of the biggest battery manufacturer, CATL, which wants to sell their products mostly to the BMW factory. And at the same time, BYD, the famous Chinese EV manufacturers, decided to build the first of their plant manufacturers out of China in Hungary, in the southern part of Hungary, in Szeged. So, together with China, we can do something against the climate change or to make the economy, the production, should be greener, more green. And we together, we can do quite a lot.
How is the BYD manufacturing facility doing in southern Hungary? How is it impacting local economy and society?
I've heard from one of the shipping company that they have to organize within few months to transport about 1,000 boxes, 1,000 containers from China to Szeged. So, because it is close to the triangle border, the Hungarian, Serbian and Romanian border. For that area, it will be very good and very useful thing. This investment can help the economy to be better.
Sir, the European Union threatened to impose tariffs on Chinese-made electric vehicles going into the European market, saying that China is basically exporting its overcapacity because the Chinese government is subsidizing its EV sector, electric cars. How do you look at that?
According to my personal opinion, it is an action based on a certain fear to protect the market of their companies. But according to my opinion, they are in separate quality and price level. So what they are afraid is the price, the cheaper price of the Chinese EVs.
But the European Union has its own subsidies to consumers buying electric vehicles up to $7,000 to lower income groups. And the United States, of course, we're not talking about the United States, but across the Atlantic Ocean, they're subsidizing some $5,000 to EV industry.
So they are doing the same. They also support the EV manufacturing. They also support, give support for the customers to buy EVs, but they would like to the customers to buy their own electric vehicles. But China is far more ahead in the production and in the battery production.
Yeah, there's an integrated market in China. The largest lithium battery factory, Lingde Times, is just like 600 kilometers from BYD.
Yeah, I have read just last week that at this moment, I mean up till now, the share of the electric vehicles in China, it is almost 50%, either fully electric or plug-in hybrid.
Sir, there have been talks about decoupling with China, de-risking from China. Of course, a narrative first proposed by the United States, kind of picked up by the European Union, some European politicians. What is the sentiment of the Hungarian business community? Hungary, of course, being this member of the European Union.
I think it is more political than economical reaction. The globalism reached a certain level, reached a certain point, and now it is irreversible. At this moment, the world economy is in a very hectic situation, not driven only by the economic reasons, but also by political reasons. We cannot forget that in this year there will be election in USA, there will be election in Europe, for European Parliament. There was an election in Russia, and there will be elections in several other countries in Europe. So the politicians now are telling different slogans, but at the same time, the businessmen, the leaders of the companies, they want to find the new way of cooperation with China. That's number one. Number two, China needs Europe or EU, and EU needs China. Several German, French, Italian companies establish daughter companies or joint ventures in China. And for instance, the German Chancellor visited China, and quite a lot of business people was in the delegation. And last but not least, which is very important in these days, and it is also a specialty of Hungary, we can offer to the Chinese economy to become a logistic hub First for Central Europe, but also for Europe, and it is very important for the e-commerce. Alibaba or AliExpress and Temu established their Central European hub in Budapest. And the cargo, the goods which are bought by the Europeans, not only Hungarians, mostly by Europeans. In this moment, weekly, 22 to 24 cargo flights are moving between China and Hungary.
If you look at the record, Hungary has a track record of voting favorably towards Chinese proposals made by the European Parliament. And when the EU is trying to condemn China on a whole host of issues, Hungary sometimes voted against it, if not most of the times, all of the times. Is Hungary under any pressure from the European Union to be more hostile or confrontational to China, which marks a contrast to Hungary's traditional, time-honored friendship with China?
Hungary has its own foreign policy. We don't look to China as enemy, but we look at China as our cooperation partner, our friend, and we hope and we know that we could make certain good things for the world.
So talk to us about the hopes that you have for China-Hungarian businesses going forward.
My expectation is that our trade relation and our economic relation will develop much faster after the visit of President Xi Jinping. Not only the economic relations can be developed, but the cooperation and the exchange of students and the culture agreement or the culture cooperation will develop, and it will help us, because if we can manage the change of the student, means they will not learn only the language of the other country, but they will learn the culture of other country, and it will make good investment to the future.
We caught up with Mr. Tamás Benkócs, Vice President and co-owner of Ikarus Group. That organization focuses on infrastructure, transport, real estate, among other businesses. We note that the Ikarus Group that you co-owned and is now serving as Vice President is a leader in sustainability. Can you tell us a bit about your green efforts? We know that you renovated and ramped up your efforts, for example, when it comes to solar panels.
Yeah. Our motto is innovation is tradition. And it has been the major driving force of my father-in-law, who is the main owner, shareholder of Ikarus. This is a 130-year-old brand. And all his business life, he was striving for innovation and creating new things. And obviously now, with our partnership with Chinese partners, enables us to enter the modern era with all the innovations they provide us.
We know that innovation is so important, and there are so many disruptions to innovation, such as artificial intelligence. And how do you see the role of AI in impacting your businesses?
That's a very good question. Obviously, we already use some innovative technologies. Anyone is using like solar power, or using in administrative work, some AI solutions, and also collecting data, big data, and processing it. That helps a lot, whether it's manufacturing or controlling traffic or improving, optimizing traffic. So that's a very, very good opportunity for us to incorporate our business AI.
Do you have Chinese partners when it comes to AI? Because we know that China is leading the field, leading the patch when it comes to some applications of AI.
I have been very lucky to travel to China multiple times, and I experienced what our partners are capable of. And obviously we get all the knowledge of the engineers. Our engineers are working together, so we can incorporate it in our development in the buses as well.
We know that your company, Ikarus, is working with CRRC Corporation. Tell us a bit about that.
CRRC is one of the largest EV electric bus manufacturing company, and they provide us the electric components for our buses. And also our other partner, CCIG Group, is the one where we enter multiple collaboration. And there is a very interesting thing. What we do is we are about to form our 100% European-owned subsidiary in China. And we will have industrial parks there, industrial parks in Hungary. And we're not only providing the area for any other potential partners, but also services to help them start their businesses, whether we're talking about in China or in Hungary. We are encouraging Hungarian companies to come to China to start their operation there, and we also welcoming Chinese companies to come here. The most important thing is what I always say, that this relationship, whoever we are working with, has to be mutually beneficial. It's a win-win situation. Everybody puts in what they're best at, and that's how the result comes out.
How do you like the idea of the Belt and Road Initiative proposed by China, which is really becoming a topic of discussion? You know, some people say they find it controversial, others say they benefited a whole lot from it. What do you think of it?
I think, as a businessman, it's definitely a great initiative. I don't want to talk about politics because I know that people have different preferences, but in business, I think it's an enormous opportunity for any company in the world to work with Chinese companies, because we can learn from each other, benefit from the work together.
And then going forward, when it comes to e-mobility, you know, which is becoming a very trending word, e-mobility, do you expect to collaborate with your Chinese partners more going forward?
We do. We already talking about other vehicles and also inviting other partners. We are working with world-famous Chinese brands, manufacturing brands, or specific projects already. So our cooperation with CCIG Group is a great opportunity for others to join us and enter new markets together.
So you studied music at Franz Liszt Academy of Music in Budapest, which is very famous, and also a place where President Xi Jinping visited. So how do you feel about that?
Franz Liszt Academy of Music is one of the most famous universities for music in the world. It's 150 years old, and it was definitely a good reason that President Xi visited it. And although I got my first job as a principal bassoon player in the Budapest Festival Orchestra when I was 20, so I was only in my second year of the university, so it's a little bit untypical university years, because everybody appreciated how quickly I got a job. Universities teach you to get a job. That's the main purpose. And I already got a job when I was in my second year. But of course, I had great teachers. I studied with the best and among the best, because all those colleagues I went to university with, they are in all the major top orchestras in Europe.
Why do you think President Xi visited none other than your academy? What do you think of the symbolism and the significance of his visit to your alma mater?
They always say that music is a universal language. And this is very true, because when you have an opportunity like I did to play in Buenos Aires, in Brazil, in Tokyo, in Singapore, in New York, you meet with all these amazing musicians, and you already speak the same language. You share the same passion, so it's absolutely across borders. And since I lived in Asia for a long time, I remember that how I got to know the Chinese culture, and how much I benefit from that knowledge now, because I became a businessman in the meantime, but I already had the knowledge of the culture and the mentality of the Chinese people.
And then do you see similarities of the Chinese mentality and the Hungarian mentality?
We respect each other with our business partner, with my business partner, so much. We have very similar values. We like to work hard. we like to be transparent and
blunt, straightforward.
Absolutely, absolutely. And we always say what we think. That's a very common thing. Very directly. If it's an argument, we argue and we find a solution.
I see that in you already.
Thank you.
And finally, what would be your expectations for Chinese-Hungarian business relations going forward? What do you want to say to policymakers on both sides?
I think policymakers should encourage this relationship, and because what I see is they should not be focusing on Chinese companies and products coming to Europe, because our relationship with my partner is not focused on Europe. It's focused on all over the world. So I think business opportunities are all over the world, and therefore I think the initiative and the cooperation between the two countries is an extremely important thing.
You know, when we think about the disruptions to supply chains, you know, sourcing materials from your friends, not your rivals, does that affect your businesses and your cooperation with China now that Hungary has very strong relations with China, although it is a member of the European Union?
Well, it did have some effects on our business as well, the supply chain problems, and therefore I always say that what we have and how we work with our Chinese partners, that our people are working together, our engineers are working together, and it's a two-way road. They learn something from us, we learn something from them. So if there isn't any problem in the supply chain, we already have our knowledge here to solve the problem on a short term until the supply chain problem is solved. There was a shipment which was delayed. You know, the ship was delayed due to political reasons, and we had to find a solution locally. And we have 24/7 connection with our Chinese partners, engineers, and we could source it here, we could build it here, we could solve it here. And of course, that needed a lot of programming and a lot of work from our Chinese engineers, which we could do online.
And you're not leaving Hungary without tasting their fine wines. For that matter, we found Missed Wine Hungary. Ms. Götz, thank you for hosting us. It's great to see you here. Tell us a bit about your winery and how it is unique among all the wines, not just in Hungary, but I guess in Europe.
Thank you for the opportunity to introduce my family business to you, and I'm very proud of this because Hungarian wine culture is very, very important, and all these cellar systems, what you see on the photos, are part of the World Heritage by UNESCO in Cultural Landscape category since 2002. And it's still tradition in the cellar that every family has a small vineyard, some barrels of wine, and everybody is very proud of their own wine that they drink together with family and friends.
How is your winery doing with your Chinese consumers? Are you selling to China? How are they, selling and received by the Chinese consumers?
Yes, we are very, very proud of our Chinese past. My brother first visited China in 2014, but we also visited China last year, and I was there in March too. It was the third time, and we are very proud of Chinese friends, Chinese people, Chinese partners that we have, because we explore the same values, the same traditions in each nation that we follow, we keep. We try to follow the traditions, but use the modern technology as well. And we think the Asian market, especially the Chinese market, is very important. But not only the market, the friendship, which is the most important thing.
Wine, just like music, is a common language of the world.
Yes, of
No
course.
problem cannot be resolved if you toast or drink up a nice wine. How do you see the commonalities of Chinese and Hungarian culture?
I think it's very, very important that we have very good friendships, partnerships. We know more and more Chinese people, and we visit more and more times to China. It's very, very important to build this step by step, one by one, time to time when we visit each other. The best place to get to know a winery or a family business when you come to Hercegkút to visit our cellar, where you can visit the winery, the vineyards, That's the best thing, to get to know us and see the production. But it's also very important to show up in China and tell everybody about our wine, and they are really, really interested in the Tokai wine. Chinese-Hungarian relationships, friendships are like the best Tokai wine.
Yes,
so it's very, very important. We appreciate their words a lot.
Because now we have the visa-free program for you.
Yes, I know.
Visa to come to China.
I know. I already had it in March when we had this new rule, but I thought it was only because of me visiting China more and more times, and no, I'm just kidding. It is very, very good, and it would be more easily to go to China, and we have these direct flights. For example, I visited Chongqing last March. Now this March, Luzhu, for a wine exhibition, I traveled there with my Chinese friend, my Chinese partner, who helped me there. And I think Chinese people get to know Hungarian culture, Hungarian wines, and Hungarian people more and more every time we meet them, and it's very important for us.
And then I'm going to ask you a tough question. 3 words to describe how unique Tokai wine is.
Natural, sweet, white. And you will love it when you visit Tokai.
After the interview, Götz Ildikó invited us for a mini wine tasting of the productions of her own family-run winery, one of the highest rated in Hungary.
Yes, we have dry, reductive type of wine, we have late harvest as well, and of course we have the nectar, the Tokai essencia, what we Hungarians think in our national anthem, this treasure that we have here, which when you collect the assú berries, the botrytized berries from a healthy grape, one by hand, put them together, and without pushing or pressing, only the free-run juice that comes out, this is very high sugar content.
She believes that wine is not just a symbol of a culture, but it actually brings people closer together. Now, on the occasion of the 75th anniversary of the diplomatic relations between China and Hungary, let us toast to the newly elevated all-weather strategic partnership and to the enduring friendship of these 2 great nations.
And that will do it for this edition of The Hub on CGTN. I'm Wang Guan in Budapest, Hungary. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'll see you again next time.